Hello, if you're watching this, hopefully your kid is taking Physics C, Classical Mechanics, and E&M. I'm Mr. Resby, and you all know that because every one of those kids is taking Physics 1, at least one class from me in the past. Physics C is a legitimate first quarter or semester class at your standard university, the Classical Mechanics. Classical Mechanics and E&M, which is what we do, is a legitimate year. We are going at a college pace for a college class. Now, I have a huge advantage. I taught these kids Physics 1. Most of these kids could get a 2 or 3 on the Classical Mechanics C test right now. Not good enough. We're going to get 4s and 5s. Okay. Generally speaking, kids that take this class, Physics C, under normal circumstances, pass the Classical Mechanics test pretty easily. Not pretty easily is too strong a word. It's a tough test, but generally speaking, most kids pass it. Usually about every other year I have a kid that doesn't, but for the most part that's true. Second semester we're taking E&M. It's a whole another kettle of fish. Usually about 70 to 80% of the kids pass that. That is a much harder situation for us because we're going to cover a lot of ground in fairly short order. To be fair to these kids, just so when you're looking at them you can understand what they're going through, we're the only school in the district that does both Classical Mechanics and E&M in 1 year. We're it. Okay. It used to be that's where the Physics C curriculum was set up. Nobody does it that way, as I can tell, at least not in our district for certain. So they're being pushed hard. So for some of these kids, it's a really good thing because they need it. They're good kids. They're sharp kids. They're curious kids, but they're not the best workers, this set of 6 that I currently have. As a generalization, individual kids vary. So what are they going to learn? They're going to learn Classical Mechanics, which is the study of all motion, how things move, rotate, accelerate. It's going to look very similar to stuff they learned last year. We're adding calculus to it, which means they're going to be able to do a lot more things with the physics that they've learned. And it's going to become more complex in some places. But for the most part, a lot of the theory is roughly the same. We'll have a little more time to play with individual lab ideas, which is going to be interesting because the lab thing is a little bit strange. As we get later on in the semester, if the COVID lockdown stays in place, if we're doing every other days, or if we do like stay home forever, we're going to probably have kids taking home labs to work on little mini labs at home. AP test has a little mini lab portion to the free response questions. I find that having students do a lot of little mini labs helps them with that particular piece. And so therefore it's kind of important. In addition to that, it's kind of important, kind of fun for them to play with something. Consider a lot of the theories roughly the same or similar. These ideas are clear when you play with stuff. The second semester is E&M, which is electricity and magnetism. They'll be doing circuits, they'll be doing electric fields, and they'll be doing magnetism. Okay, and again, that's similar to most colleges' second quarter or second semester. And so, generally speaking, these tests are pretty much the gold standard. If you pass these tests, you're pretty much going to get credit wherever you go. There are some exceptions. There's one Ivy school that requires a 4 for both of them. Okay. And there's one Ivy school that doesn't give credit at all, but lets you skip the first year of physics, which is kind of the same thing, but not. I guess you still have to pay for some of those units. Concerns. Okay. So last year when we did Physics 1, we got to the point where the district in its infinite wisdom said, hey, if you've got an A right now, your grade can't go down. The group of 6 I have right now, after that moment, didn't do much. So now that we're learning half virtual, half not, so far so good. They're hanging in there. They're doing what I'm asking them to do. They're on all the time. Happy with what I'm seeing so far. It is a senior year. Usually, February and March are usually rough. If we're still digital at this time, I'm really worried about this set of kids not doing what they need to do. Okay. There's an exception or two to this rule, but in general, as a class, this is a class that pretty much phoned it in at the moment when they were told they could phone it in, and it definitely changed how they ended that class should have gone. Now, I've informed them this. They know that I feel this way, and I'm being really crystal clear with them. I am certain that these kids could all pass a classical mechanics class if I just shut it down and we just do classical mechanics to the end of the thing. We have no trouble doing that at all. So what I'm challenging them to do is I'm saying, look, if you guys stay with us, if we stay on pace, if we're still getting A's, and by the way, first semester A's and B's should be the normal. Okay, I'm getting a regular AP test. I still expect them to do well on them, not just well, but good on them. So if they keep up, if by November we're in the right place, then I'm going to say, okay, let's do the NL. Let's give it a whack. And again, knowing full well that February and March is when I'm scared. So you be aware. Keep one eye peeled on your kid. That's a time when they should feel like they have not a lot of extra time on their hands. Okay, it's going to be February and March. About the same time senior slack off hits, about the same time a lot of other things hit. This is when I need them to be on their best game. Okay, so that's my concern. They know that's my concern. I will repeat it a couple more times. And again, if we start to fall apart, we may very well decide that some people, or maybe the whole class, will just do the classical mechanics, which is what the rest of the district does. And they will do very well in that test, and we'll get credit. I mean, it'd be hard to imagine we get credit for that test. Okay. What does a class look like? It looks very similar to classes from last year. A lot of problem solving, a lot of working together. Now that we're doing things virtually, kids at home are expected to be out during that time. They're expected to answer questions. They're expected to show their work, which has been odd at times and funny at times, but some way in which they can show what it is they're doing and present it to the other students. Okay, and so we have to keep that piece alive. And so there's no they should be during that class time engaged in this class. And we have too much material to take every other day off. We have too much material to give you some sort of a lighter assignment in between. It has to be every day at a steady pace. And so that's what we're going to do. Okay. And so if they're not doing that, I will take them aside and warn them that they're not doing that. If they continue not to do that, we're pretty much in the land of they can take the classical mechanics test and not worry so much about the E&M, which is, what I'm hoping they won't do. I'm hoping this group, frankly, this group is capable, curious, and again, they can do this, but they're as a group are not the hardest working group I've ever seen, and it would be I'd be best interest to see what hard work would do for them. They would see that they're capable of doing some things that are frankly extraordinary for high school students, and so I'm hoping that's where we go. A lot will depend on the virtual piece and whether or not they're hanging it for that. Hopefully, a lot will depend on everybody getting well and COVID going away, and then we all are at school together, and then I know I can get these kids across the finish line. If you have a whole bunch of smoke days, so watch your kid. If your kid feels like they're really far behind, or even a little bit behind, or they don't know how to do problems, or things are hopeless, have them come in and see me. I'm usually there by 6 in the morning. I leave at 3 o'clock if there's no students in my room. I leave a lot later if there is a student in my room. We're not, this job, and particularly this year with virtual learning, I'm anticipating spending long days, long mornings, long there. My lunch too. They can come in. We get some work done. Okay, we need to. Otherwise, if we get behind in this class, it's just too hard to dig ourselves back out. So when you see them start to get behind, send it to me right away. If you have any questions, rresney@washingtonschools.net. Emails at the Incline website, Incline High School website. Also, it's on the syllabus that they say they're going to attach someone to this document. So, any questions at all? If I don't get back to you in 2 days from an email, and it's happened a couple times in the last couple of years, that means something's happened. I got 100 emails on the same day, and you slipped underneath the horizon, something weird like that. No reason why I can't get back to you in a short period of time on that. So if I can get back in 2 days, that's problematic. And I think that is pretty much it. Let me know again. I probably missed 100 things. If I did miss 100 things, you have to send me email questions. I'm pretty happy to answer them, or tell me when I should call you. Okay. Thank you very much for listening. My hands are more, but thank you very much for listening. I'll hopefully talk to you later.